Good day to you all. This is Citizen Smith. Here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from our beautiful studio in Portland, Oregon at TalkCast PDX. State-of-the-art studio. Wonderful. And we're offering many shows other than not only Citizen Smith, other shows that we're building over the course of our launch, which began this month. But for me, I'm also happy to be on the multiple streaming platforms that we utilize for this show. So, I start today's show off with wonderful news. A second drug maker has produced a 94.5% effective vaccine against the coronavirus. That company is Moderna. Congratulations, Moderna. You know, I had all the pharmaceutical companies that were pursuing vaccines, and I was kind of treating it like a football pool. I wanted to see which ones would come first and make my predictions. I had Pfizer and Moderna as the top two. And they have produced fantastic news to start the week. 94.5% effective based on early looks at the results. The study is continuing. So, Dr. Fauci, of course, had to, kind of be a buzzkill and say, we should not let our guard down. This could still be a problem. Come on. Can we be happy for a little bit here, Mr. Fauci? In Moderna's study, 95 people contracted the coronavirus, 5 who were vaccinated and 90 who received placebo shots of salt water. Statistically, the difference between the two groups was highly significant, and of the 95 cases, 11 were severe, all in the placebo group. This in the New York Times front page story today where I got it. Oh, I saw this story and it just leaped off the page. Moderna, based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, developed its vaccine in collaboration with researchers from the Vaccine Research Center, part of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. And like I said, Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci, the director of the institute, said in an interview, this quote in the article, I had been saying I would be satisfied with a 75% effective vaccine. Aspirationally, you would like to see 90 to 95%, but I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would be good. But 94.5% is very impressive. Well, thank you, Dr. Fauci. Coming from you, that means a lot. So you all should be feeling pretty good right now. We will be out of this by the end of the year. Not fully, but we will have a vaccination up and running. When 2021 rolls around in January, I expect to have a needle stuck in the side of my arm, protecting me from the coronavirus with a vaccine from either Pfizer or Moderna. Remember everybody saying, it could take 10 years to get a vaccine. It's impossible to do it within a year. We did it. We can put a man on the moon. We can make a vaccine that destroys a deadly virus. Pfizer and Moderna. They did it. I'm so happy. I'm giddy. I can't wait to get vaccinated and get back to my life and be able to go out without a mask and socialize and go to a restaurant, have a waitress walked up to me and ask me, would I like a cocktail with my meal? And I will say, certainly, I would love one. Thank you for asking. And you have such a pretty face without a mask. All right, I'm getting a little crazy and a little excited here. I'm sorry. But isn't it like the greatest news in the world? 2 vaccines and American companies. None of this Chinese vaccine. We got it first. We did it right. We have a safe and effective vaccine because we are America. One of my friends I was talking to today, he's living in China right now. He's a teacher where we met. He's very smart. His father was a journalist for his whole life. And he's got that journalist type of mind where he, analyzes things. He's very astute. He brought a point up today that I hadn't really thought about. He said, You know, if it hadn't been for the coronavirus, I think President Trump probably would have won the election. Think about that. Before the coronavirus, President Trump had the most successful economy in years, and everybody votes by their pocketbooks and money in the bank. You have a strong economy, people like you as a president. He probably would have won. And as my friend Paul said in China, I guess it was an act of God that brought this virus on and essentially had us get rid of a president that probably would have been more harmful than good for the nation heading into a second term. And with that said, I will agree. But it was a hell of a toll we had to take as a country. Deaths, lockdowns. So I read another article that kind of caught my attention the other day, too, about the virus that I hadn't thought about. Doctors are retiring, resigning, leaving their professions in large percentages because of the virus, because it's stressing them out. They're also losing business because they can't treat people with the virus as well as, say, in a hospital or an emergency room, and when they have to treat them, it's very stressful. So, you know, it's already hard to get a doctor. Have you tried? A primary physician is one of the hardest things to find these days. They are like, I'm not taking patients. And now they're resigning and retiring and heading into retirement earlier than they expected. Some of them have to take care of family members. One doctor said, I have to take care of my sister's, my daughter's kids, my grandchildren. You're 66 years old. I'm going to retire. I'm closing down the practice. So it's going to get even harder than it was before to find a primary physician. I cannot find one. I did. I found one a couple of years ago. I've retained him. He's not the best doctor in the world, to be honest with you, but he gets the job done. I was hoping to get one closer to my house. I can't. No, we're not taking any more patients. This is the common thing I hear. Oh, no, there's a waiting list. No, you can't. We're booked. We just can't take one more patient. Primary physicians. A lot of us now, we go to these secondary medical outlets, these places where, you can come in without an appointment, urgent care. They're popping up everywhere. And you get an RN. A nurse practitioner. They usually have a nurse practitioner acting like a doctor, but not a primary physician. So you got to settle for that in these day and age. We need like a push, a recruitment push for people to become not surgeons, not specialists, primary physicians, general care, family care. We need to get out there and say, get these high school kids or these college kids, right? Get your degree, but when you get into the medical field, if you want to pursue it, be a primary physician. It's rewarding. The country needs more. There's good opportunity. It's just so expensive to start your own practice in this country. It's one of the detractors from doing it. But we need them, so let's make it easier for them to start a practice. Let's have some financial aid from the federal government or state governments supporting a practice to start. You get a special loan, no interest, or maybe there's even grants out there, that they can get to start a practice. Maybe they want minorities to get more into that field, people of color. So you have financial incentives for them, helping them to get their medical degree, and starting a practice. We have to get more innovative, creative in our thinking to take on these types of issues facing us. When I come back, I'm going to change directions a little bit. I have an old friend from childhood. We went to college together. He got multiple sclerosis when he was a freshman in college. I remember it. And his life completely changed. He went from being an athletic guy to, now he's wheelchair bound, and he's lived like that for the majority of his life now. But like many people in wheelchairs or that have these deadly diseases that cripple them, they have extra challenges they face during a pandemic like this. So I'm going to talk to him about that. He also got married. I think it was a couple of years ago as him and his wife got married, or a little over a year. And that also is a challenge for somebody who's living in a wheelchair and has MS. So I'm going to talk to him about that as well. He's my friend Chris Tadevosian. He'll be joining me next on Citizen Smith.
TalkCast PDX is a digital platform for local talk shows, live video streaming shows, and podcasts originating from Portland, Oregon. We are committed to a diversity of opinions and quality talk that offers something for everyone. At our brand new state-of-the-art studio, we offer a wide range of services to meet every type of broadcasting need. Yes, we will help you record and edit your podcast or program. We also help you distribute on multiple platforms, and we can also help you transcribe your show for a blog. We offer video services and promotional services, as well as ad revenue packages. Email us today for a special introductory offer. Everything you need to start your own show as soon as possible. We're here to help. Go to TalkCastPDX.com, that's TalkCastPDX.com, and send us a message today.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
Welcome back to Citizen Smith. And I'm talking now with my good friend, Chris Tadevosian, who I grew up with. Childhood friend, went to college together. And it was then and there that he discovered he had the illness, the disease, multiple sclerosis, his freshman year of college. And since that time, he has lived with it and had to go through many changes in his life on dealing with such a crippling disease, if I can use that word. I don't know if it's politically correct, but he's in a wheelchair now, and he has his care every day to live. And with the coronavirus, things have even gotten that much more difficult in his life. So we'll talk about that with Chris Tadevosian. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Ken. How you doing?
Very good, my good friend. So let's talk about that. So you got married, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Oh, I got married in 2017.
So we want to talk about that as well because, Chris is a good-looking guy, so it wasn't hard to find a woman in his life, but he is, in a wheelchair and has MS, so marriage is going to be a little more difficult for somebody in those conditions, and we'll talk about that. But first, Chris, when I tried to get you to go to a museum with me in September, you were kind of like, I don't know if I should go. It was actually August. It was warm. The coronavirus is out there. And you were saying this could be a difficult time for you. I mean, it could kill you because you have immune deficiencies, right, with MS?
Right. Yeah, MS is an autoimmune disease, yes, where your own cells are attacking your own brain or your central nervous system. But it stabilized with me so that I haven't gotten worse in over 3 years. I haven't gotten worse at all. So I'm very happy with a drug that I'm taking that I believe stopped the progress of the disease, which doctors don't tell anyone about this drug because it's a drug that pharmaceutical companies cannot make money with because it only costs $80 a month for this drug, and so they won't do any clinical trials on it because there's no money for them to make. But this drug actually slows the progression, if not stops it. And I feel with me, it has halted the disease completely, and I've actually gotten better, so the point that I am in a wheelchair, yes, but I can still stand from the wheelchair and hold the bar at the wall and stand up and do exercises and things like that, which is something I could not do before.
So you mentioned this drug, but you didn't specifically identify it, Chris. Would you care to tell the people the drug that you are taking?
Sure. The drug is low-dose naltrexone. The easy way to find it is LDN. That's how you'll find it if you were to Google it. Google LDN, and it will tell you about low-dose naltrexone. This was a drug that was used originally for addicts and alcoholics in a high dosage, but in the low dosage form of 4.5 milligrams, they found that it slows, if not halts, many autoimmune diseases. So I've been stable since 2017. I have not progressed at all, and if I don't get worse, I don't mind being in a wheelchair as long as I just don't get worse. So LDN is the drug, and you can find it by just Google LDN, and you'll find out all about it. And it's very inexpensive, $80 a month. And the reason it's so inexpensive is because pharmaceutical companies don't want anything to do with it because there's no money to be made for a drug that's so inexpensive. So they don't even do clinical trials. Meanwhile, the drugs out there for MS, there's 3 of big ones, and they're $2,000, $3,000 a month, and they don't. I've tried all 3, and they made me worse. And a lot of people say it makes you worse. So I've stayed away from a lot of the MS pharmaceuticals, but LDN's been good for me. But I'm no doctor, so take your chances.
Very good. All right. Well, let's move on to our next subject, talking about your marriage.
So there have been a lot of improvements in my life, and the biggest one was getting remarried in 2017 to the most incredible woman. She's a born-again Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, so we have God in our lives together, and we can pray together, and it's made a big difference in our lives, and I believe it even has made my life, my physical life, that much better. I think God has made it so that I am healthier, and I don't feel sick. I'm in a wheelchair, but besides that, I don't feel sick. And I know you mentioned before when we were going to go on that trip and to Boston, and it was warm out, and I was having issues back then where I was afraid, if I had to go to the bathroom, if I had to urinate, I wouldn't be able to because I need to be at home where my wife can put me from my chair onto the toilet with a Hoyer lift, which is a lift that's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen one, but it's a lift that uses lines and pulleys to lift me up and put me down, lift me out of bed, put me on the toilet, that type of thing.
But you also said that the virus is, to be out in public for you is even a riskier deal because if you get the virus, probably going to kill you, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So, it's a life and death situation. Hey, you go out, but if you breathe this virus from somebody not wearing a mask or just you touch something, you can count it. You're going to be gone, right? The chances of you beating this virus would be very little.
Right. Yeah, it would probably be a rapid onslaught and not without a good outcome. That's for sure. No, this virus is crazy.
And people, I don't know what the percentages of people with immune deficiencies. I don't know if you have that number, but it's a whole nother ball game for them trying to deal with this. It's already bad enough for the rest of us, but if you're in that condition, you really can't even leave the house. It's a risk to walk out the door.
It's difficult. Yeah, my wife goes out for me to go shopping and things like that, and she goes with a mask, and it makes me nervous, even though she's wearing a mask, to go outside, because if she got it, then she's my caregiver, and if she got it, my marriage would I don't know what would happen to my marriage, plus the fact that I wouldn't have a caregiver anymore, so I'd probably have to end up in a nursing home, which is the last place I'd want to be, because right now the coronavirus is the worst in nursing homes and hospitals. You don't want to be in there right now. So, yeah, I stay safe at home with my wife, and we have everything we need. Food is delivered to the house, and there's really no need for us to go out.
You have a very beautiful wife. She's much younger than you. Guys like myself can't even hook up during these times, or I've never been married. You seem to have found a beautiful woman. She's from Latin America, but the marriage is working. What are the challenges that you've come up against? Anything unexpected?
There are no challenges, honestly. Life is just fantastic. She understands my situation, and we work through things together. And the one thing I've learned from past relationships is anger, misdirected anger with this disease. In my first marriage, the anger that I would take out on my spouse, the person that the closest, most loved person in my life, is the one that was dealing with my anger and frustration, which was really against MS, but you can't yell at MS, so you yell at your spouse. And I learned from loss of my first wife that that's not the way to go. So I've never even gotten mad with my wife now. And how does that happen? I mean, without God, I can't explain how you would never get mad.
Let me ask you about the situation ongoing with your marital situation. When you have talks about where do we go from here in the future, and your life together, what about going on trips, and how socially do you engage? And if somebody is in your situation where they're in a wheelchair for life, or they have a very debilitating disease, what would your advice be to finding a woman or a man that you love and being in a relationship, and how to develop one?
Well, for the longest time, I would just go online to like a Match.com, and I was meeting women, and I have to say that before 2017, while I was disabled, still in this very apartment, I hooked up with at least 15 to 20 different women. And people say, how the hell do you do that? Because I can't get my best friend's not in a wheelchair. He's healthy as can be. He says, I can barely get a date. You get 15 women to come into your house, you're in a wheelchair, and they want to have sex with you. Do that. How do you do that? You just, with the internet, it's made it so easy. It's like going to the grocery store. I mean, yeah, many women are going to say no and not want to get involved with somebody that is disabled. But the internet has made it so that there are millions of people that you have a choice or a chance to meet. So out of 1,000 people, there's 10 women out there that are going to sleep with you.
I'll have to keep that in mind. I've had no success with the internet. In this day and age right now with the coronavirus, I don't even want to meet somebody. I'm afraid, it'll be too difficult. It'll be too difficult to try to have a relationship with a deadly virus that you could bring to my house. Maybe I'm being a little too cautious, but I just don't have that dating feeling right now.
No. I can imagine if I wasn't married, I wouldn't be dating now. There's no way I would want to have someone from outside my window come into my house. I mean, I don't even have my mother come over or my sisters. I've had no contact with my family other than phone contact because I don't want to jeopardize their lives. And, for example, my mother's going to be 80 years old this year. I don't want her to drive over here and take the chance of getting a virus, not from me, but from somebody else. And it would definitely kill her very quickly, being 80 years old. And, don't have my sisters come over for the same reason.
So it's going to be a quiet Thanksgiving for you. It'll probably be a quiet Thanksgiving for me, my mother, and my sister. But like you say, my mother's living with my sister and very isolated. I feel bad for her, that she can't, she had a little job that she did, but she can't do that anymore. She enjoyed it. She does her yoga, but she doesn't get out much. And she's 81, like your mom, they're at high risk. So the sooner this vaccine gets going and this is over, I just hope it's sooner than later. I just mentioned in the previous segment that Moderna now had a vaccine come out that they did the study, and it's showing 94% efficacy.
Yes, well, I won't be the experimental one for that vaccine.
You're not going to jump right in there and get the first one that's out?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to find out a year from now that it causes cancer or something like that, or it causes something that they didn't know about. And, they've tested it maybe for, how long could they have tested it for? Not more than 3 years. I think they've done most of the things they've come out with have been within the last 6 months. So how do you know that's not going to cause a problem somewhere down the line? I mean, in the past with the FDA, everything's been at 6 years minimum for a trial before they'll use it on anybody. Now, all of a sudden, we can do it in a month? I don't think so. And you hear Dr. Fauci on the television. He's supposed to be a very intelligent guy, but I don't believe anything anyone is saying. And I certainly don't believe anything Mr. Trump is saying.
You're a scientist yourself. You got a biology degree, so, I mean, you really understand these things better than the normal person. You have a scientific background. You're a smart guy. You went to an environmental studies school where we both went. So now you've got me thinking, and now, you know what? I don't think I'm going to get the vaccine.
Well, I ended up minoring in chemistry, so I have a lot of chemistry background, organic, instrumental, and analytical chemistry. So, and I had a large microbiology background. So, bugs and viruses scare me, but this vaccine, I don't know. Would I want my mother to take it? Yes, but she's 80 years old. Would I want my 50-year-old sister to take it? I'd have to think about that, and I'd have to discuss it with her, because I don't know how safe it's going to be. They tell us right now it's safe, but how do they know?
You have the greatest risk of anybody, even more than your mother, but you still won't take it.
No, if I stay in the house, there's no risk. If I stay in the house, there's no risk. And if I go outside with a mask, the risk is minimal. But I don't go out into a crowd anyways. And my wife and I are very happy in our nice apartment here. and we have everything we need. Life is good. She's on the phone right now with her family in Bolivia, and you see the people on the phone that you're talking to, you might as well be in Bolivia. She can't go to Bolivia to visit her family right now because of the coronavirus, so she hasn't gone in over a year to see her family. But that goes for anybody. There's no traveling anywhere.
Let's talk.
Get on a plane right now, Ken, and go somewhere?
Yeah, I could, but I'm not going to. I was going to fly to Oregon, but I decided to hold off until the new year and let the surge get over with. But so far, I don't know when the surge is going to get over with. Could go on for a few more months, could go longer. I don't know. So until
they said last night on well, it wasn't the news. It was like a 2020 type show I was listening to last night, and they said there is a third surge coming, and it's bigger than the two we've had already.
Well, how do they know that?
I don't know.
Well, all right, we'll see. I'm a little more optimistic that maybe this is but who knows with this thing? It's crazy. The vaccine's going to come out. You need 75% of the people in the country to take the vaccine for it to have herd immunity, and I don't think we're going to get there in the first year it's out. So let me talk, as we finish up here, talking to my friend Chris Tadevosian. He wrote a book, Life Interrupted, about his living with MS, multiple sclerosis, which first he self-published in 2007. Was that what you told me?
2007, I self-published it myself, yes. And then it was picked up by another company, which happened to be Tate Publishing, not my company, but because I do go by Tate a lot of times, but that was not my company. And right now, Tate Publishing is handing it off to a traditional publisher, and I can't give the name of the publisher right now. But when I say a traditional publisher, we're talking people like Macmillan and Penn and other large book manufacturing companies.
That's exciting. How did you end up nailing down a publisher after 13 years of this being out there?
Kind of with a literary agent who's been working on that for me. And he's actually in a meeting as we speak, but I won't know the results today. But he's in a meeting with, I believe, it is the name of the company that they're working with, and today is HarperCollins. Yeah, that's the publisher. So if I can if they can agree to something today, they're talking about six-figure salary. Six figures for the book, but I'm not putting any faith in that. When somebody tells me they're going to give me $100,000 for the book, I'll believe it. But right now, I'm just staying in my house and relaxing.
I mentioned that you should probably update your book to some additional chapters if you do get this deal, to incorporate your life as it changed in marriage.
Yes, definitely. I definitely would do that. Before the book is traditionally published, I would probably add one more chapter with my wife of today and how we're living and how things are. And
if your wife has any sisters or cousins, put my name in. If I'm eligible.
Actually, she has a sister that looks very similar to her, but she's even younger.
Oh.
Paula is 14 years younger than me.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell her I'm interested. Well, hook me up. It sounds like it's a good family. I wouldn't mind being a part of it.
Yeah, and you wouldn't mind going to Bolivia,
No, I just watched a special on TV about the Andes, and Bolivia was put in there with the other countries, Peru and Argentina. It was a great talk. I love the area, love the people.
Yeah, you go all over the place, too.
Yeah. All right, well, great. So who needs Match.com? Just call Chris Tadevosian. Anyway.
Let me just tell them one thing to do. If somebody is interested in getting the book, right now my website is down because it's being worked on, and I don't know when that's going to come back up. But people are purchasing the book right now by going to Goodreads.com. That's www.goodreads, Goodreads, Goodreads.com. And you can go there, do a search on Life Interrupted. It's Not All About Me. Don't just do a search on Life Interrupted because you get millions of books. Do Life Interrupted, It's Not All About Me is the whole title. And if you do a search if you're on Goodreads and you do a search on my name, that's another way that it will come up. The name is Chris, Chris, Tadevosian. You can figure out how to spell that on your own. No, the right spelling for Tadevosian is T as in Tom, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, V as in Victor, O as in Oscar, S as in Sam, I as in Indian, A as in Angel, N as in Nancy.
Chris Tadevosian, a nice Armenian name. All right, Chris. Very good. Thank you for joining me today on Citizen Smith. Hey, we'll talk again. We should have you as a regular featured guest because you're enlightening and optimistic and a great talker.
Well, you've been struck by lightning, too. No, you're pretty good. I enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you again, Ken. Have a great day.
Excellent. My friend Chris Tadevosian joining me today on Citizen Smith. Have a great day, everybody. I will talk to you again on Wednesday.